Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and today I want to be doing a new video on some JavaScript data types, some ones that came on later on in JavaScript, particularly sets, maps, and generators. So first let's talk about sets. So when would you use a set? When you have usually if you have an array and you want to get out all the duplicates, turn it into a set. Okay, so imagine this, const my array equals 1 comma 1 comma 1 2 comma 2 comma 2. Oh, I guess there's 2 3s there now. 4 4 4. Now I only want the unique values in this array. I don't need the duplicates of 1, the duplicates of 3, and the duplicates of 4. So what I'll do is I'll turn it into a set. So I'll do const my set equals, okay, a new set, and then I will put my r as the argument into the constructor. Now when I do that, let's see what I end up with my set. Console.log my set, save, and see, you have a set with 4 items in it, 1 2 3 and 4. But notice it's not an array. It doesn't have square brackets, so I can't really use it in the same way I would use an array. So I need to go back and transform it back into an array. So what I can do is then go const set array equals this, and then use the spread operator to spread out my set. Okay, and then I'll console log set array. Cool. So when I do that, and there you go. I take this and I turn it into this, and now I can actually use it like I would any array. Very neat. Cool. So then the next step is let's talk about maps. Maps in most other programming languages are usually what they'll use for key value pairs. So kind of like right now, the default in JavaScript is an object. So you would create an object like const my obj equals, and then I would do hey, name, Alex, age 34. So there's a key, and then there's a value, and I have this object. But there's a couple issues with an object like this. My keys have to be strings. So basically these keys have to be a string or a symbol. So the idea is that they have to be something like that. Okay. The other issue is that they're not in any particular order. So if I were to iterate over my object, in this case, what order it will be iterated over will differ between different browsers in different times I run it. So I'll never be guaranteed that name the name is going to be iterated over first before age. Although that's going to be less of an issue. I think in some of the changes in 2020, they're actually going to change that and standardize that, basically they will be iterated over, the key that was first entered. But that hasn't always been the case. But you still can't figure out how many keys there are in it. There's no length property to an object, kind of like how there's a length property to an array. So if you had a really large, complicated object, you would have to literally count every property. You'd console log it and literally count every property to see how many properties there are. Or you could iterate it and count it manually like that. That's another possibility. So I guess you could do something like this. Like for key. I'll just do let count equal 0 for key in my obj count plus plus. So that way it'll increment count for each key in the object, and then I could console.log and I have that piece of data now. So you could do that, but that's a lot of work. Wouldn't it be nice to have a structure that just kind of has that's more array-like, that has that built-in length feature, that's where maps going to come in. At least JavaScript maps come in. But yeah, see, I can get that. I could do if I wanted to. But anyways, let's show you how a map works. So the way a map works is I would say, hey, const my map equals a new map. And in the constructor, you pass it an array of arrays. Except each child array has 2 items that are treated as a key and value. And the cool thing is you can use anything as a key. I could use a number as a key. So I could say, hey, this is my key. And my value is hello. And then I would just do another array in the array. I can do console.log as my key. I can do literally a function as my key. How odd is that? And then the value is 6. And I can do, you know, let's say, you could literally put anything in there. So if you had an object or an existing array, you could just plop that in there. But we'll just say true. Okay. So the true will be the key. The value of true will be the key, and the value will be Google. Okay, so there's my map. So again, the first item is always the key. The second one is always the value. And again, really, all that's going on here is you're just creating an array of 2 item arrays, and the map object just knows that the first one is always the key, and the second one's the value. So now that I have that, I can actually call those values. So I can go console.log and do something like this. My map.get. So the get, you call the get function to get the value, and then you put the key as a parameter. So I'll put console.log. And let's just do all of these so you can see that this works. It's kind of funky that I can use a number. I mean, technically in other languages you can do that. You can use anything as the key. It's just, you know, kind of unnatural when you're used to objects. So now if I do this, let's say there you go, hello, because I called the key a 5, which got me the string of hello. I use console log as a key, so I called console log, and it got me back 6. And then Google was returned when I called on the key value of true. And then I can set new keys. I would just do my map dot set. And I think now I'm forgetting the syntax for this. Yep, it just takes 2 parameters and basically key and string. So I could just be like key, and then the value is, we'll just say the string of value. And then let's console log the whole map. Console.log my map. Okay, there you go. So see, and then basically it does treat it like an object with all these values inside of it. Okay, so you see it does get kind of a unique treatment. So 5 equals hello, function equals 6, or I mean console log equals 6, true equals Google, key equals value. So that's an interesting data type. If you need it, it's there. Okay, if you wanted to hide a bunch of values in weird value types. But also, technically, this is kind of like an array, so I can technically also do this. I can actually take it has a length property that I can use for iteration and all these things. IMap dot. Yeah, didn't console log. It's supposed to have a length property. Oh well. I'm not going to stress out about it right now. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a generator. A generator is a type of function. So the way you have to do the old school function call, so this does not work with arrow functions. You put an asterisk after the word function, and we'll just say here, this is my generator. No parameters. And basically the way the generator works is that it's a function that doesn't actually do stuff right away. Okay? So instead of using the word return, you'll use the word yield. So we'll just say yield 1. We'll say this. We're going to say let I equal 0. And then we'll do a while loop, while true, so it's an infinite loop. So this you can always use this. And while true, yield 1 plus I. Okay, so now when you first take a look at this function, you're thinking, man, that's just going to run forever. That's an infinite loop. It'll just continually doing this thing. But that's not how generators work. So the way this works, so I'm going to create a variable called gen, just because why not? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the mygen function. But the mygen function, because I label it as a generator by using this asterisk, it doesn't actually run this. So this doesn't get run. Instead, this object called the generator gets stored in this gen variable. And now, if I were to do this, console.log, this generator object has this function called next. So I'm going to call that. And what that does is that it runs the code, it runs the function until the next time the word yield pops up. Okay? And then I can call the value. Then it returns the value of the yield. So I'll just do .value. So now watch what happens if I just run this over and over again. Okay. Oh, let's do this. I should do this. I++. Let's run that again. Because I never changed, so that was pointless. Okay, so watch what happens. The first time it ran, so when I hit gen next the first time, the function ran, let became 0. Then we entered the while loop. I++ happened. So I became 1. So then it yielded 1 plus 1, and there it stops. So it stopped there, and it console logged 2. The function doesn't get started over again. It's going to just... So the function just literally stops in its tracks. So it's right now stuck there. So then when I do it again, it's like I'm pausing and hitting the pause and play button. So when I run it again, it plays, but it's still in the while loop. So it's going to go back up, and hey, true is still true. So it's going to run I++ again. So now I is 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So then it just keeps doing that. Now it'll just keep doing that until you hit the end of the function. So you could actually have a function that has multiple yields. And then it'll just keep running through each of the different yields every time you keep hitting that next. So you can create this function that has like several steps to it that gets triggered at different times. It's a really interesting, weird thing. Okay, nothing that I've really ever needed to use, but it's cool that you can do that. Okay, I think it used to be used a lot for like asynchronous operations before you had like promises and async await, but yeah, me personally, I guess I can see how this would be used for asynchronous operations. You'd keep doing the .next as things happened, but yeah, we're good. So that's that. I will see you guys in the next video. So we learned about sets, maps, and generators. Have a great day.